Can you believe this? The Falcons defense actually made a stop to win the game. The Panthers offense was marching down the field trying to tie this game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And the Panthers defense, they bent, but they did not break. And they picked off Teddy Bridgewater to seal the win for the Atlanta Falcons. Good for them. Good for that defense, because that defense has been getting so much heat by me, by the entire media, by everybody, because they have time and time again. In fact, last week, they gave up a game-winning touchdown to the Detroit Lions. So they couldn't afford to do that again this week. You couldn't afford to let this happen. And the defense, they responded when they needed to. Great job by the Falcons defense for showing up and doing their job probably for the first time this season. Honestly, if you look at it, they did what they needed to do. They made a stop when they needed to make a stop, so good on them. Now, when we look at this game, I'm going to be honest, guys. This game was a little filthy. My main man, Calvin Ridley, suffered an ankle injury in the first half and was out for the rest of the game. Also, Teddy Bridgewater, he did not leave the game completely, but he was in concussion protocol. The Falcons defense did this man dirty because Fowler kicked him in his knee, which tripped him up, and he fell on the floor. And then Harris proceeded to hit him in the head to neck area, which caused a personal foul and ended up causing Harris to be ejected from the game. Meanwhile, Bridgewater had to go get checked out at concussion protocol. He passed it. He got back on the field. But I don't know if that hit any effect on his game, because he went out there and he played like trash for pretty much the rest of this game. Don't know what to tell you. But yeah, let's just get in on this game. Falcons offense. The Falcons offense did what they do every single week. They go out there and they move the ball down the field. This team has no problem moving the ball down the field. They've got so much talent on offense, they should have no issues doing that. And pretty much they didn't have any issues moving the ball down the field against the Panthers defense. I believe they had almost 400 yards of total offense today, so they had no problem moving the ball down the field. It was just really two issues. And I think these are the two issues that's been stopping them for pretty much the entire season. One, they're not great at finishing drives by getting in the end zone. They would get down to the red zone, and for some reason, the offense would stall or a turnover would happen or just something. Something would go wrong for the Falcons when they get in the red zone, and it would cause them to end up kicking a field goal or ending up turning over the ball. Who knows? But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much what happened today. They got into the red zone or got within field goal range, and they just couldn't do anything more, and they couldn't move the ball forward. So they ended up having to kick a couple field goals. And Young Ho, for the most part, he did his job when it came to kicking the field goals. However, he did miss the extra point. And by missing that extra point, it gave the Panthers an opportunity to stay alive in this game. Because that extra point would have made it a 9-point game. And by missing the extra point, it became an 8-point game, which gave the Panthers an opportunity to possibly march down the field, score a touchdown, and tie with a 2-point conversion and send it into overtime. Luckily for them, the defense showed up today. Let's talk about the defense. Other than the dirty hit they put on Teddy Bridgewater, this defense did a great job putting pressure on Bridgewater. They got to him, they sacked him, they caused him to make errant throws, they caused him to throw a lot of bad passes. They did what they needed to do. They brought pressure. Now that secondary wasn't great, and I thought the secondary was about to cost them again. They did give up 2 touchdowns to Curtis Samuel. One was a rushing, the other was a receiving. And that was on a deep pass. The second touchdown was on a deep pass, which was given up by the secondary. So, secondary just needs to find a way to tighten up, man. Just figure this out, because y'all cannot be blowing games like this. They gave up a play on, I think it was 3rd and 17, on the final drive for the Panthers. They gave up a big chunk play on 3rd and 17, which kept the game alive for the Panthers. You can't be doing that secondary. They better sharpen up, man. They got to figure that secondary out. But yeah, for the most part, defense, they did their job. They held the Panthers to 17 points. And like we said on that final drive, they did what they needed to do. They made the stops. They clamped down, and eventually they caused a turnover to happen, picked off Teddy Bridgewater, and sealed the victory for the Falcons. So well done to them. This game's not going to mean much down the stretch or in the long run, but it's just a good win to have. It's one of those good feeling type wins, especially after the way the last couple weeks have went for the Falcons. For their defense to come out here and do this, congrats to them. Enjoy the night, fellas. Let's move on to the Panthers. Defensively, they did relatively well in stopping the run. Not that well, because Todd Gurley did get a rushing touchdown, and the Falcons were doing well in running the football against this Panthers defense. But they did force Matt Ryan to throw an interception. Speaking of that, Matt Ryan was terrible in this game. He threw that pick. He rushed for a touchdown, but other than that, nah. He wasn't spectacular in this game. At best, I'm not going to say he was terrible or awful. Let me change that. Let me say he was average to a bit below average. Pretty much for the passing game for him, it was just throw to Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley when he was inside before he went down with that injury. Or it was just dump the ball off to the halfback or throw a quick pass to Hayden Hurst or somebody. So that passing offense, without Julio Jones today, wasn't really nothing special. Julio Jones had over 137 receiving yards, so good on him. He was balling. But yeah, back to the Panthers defense. They did what they could against the Falcons offense that is talented and is expected to put up points, but it just wasn't enough. Giving up that touchdown run to give the Falcons that 8-point lead, that was tough. I honestly, looking at the way the Panthers offense was playing, that one right there made me think the game was over in some cases, but knowing Atlanta and knowing their history and knowing their tendencies, I couldn't say the game was over after that. Even though the Panthers offense was not looking great, I couldn't say the game was over after that. Nah. So yeah, the defense for the most part, they were okay. They could have been better, especially when it came to trying to cover Julio Jones. But they did the best they could, and Julio Jones a piece. So I'm not going to rag on the defense too much, but they could have performed better. Offensively for the Panthers, that offensive line was terrible. They could not protect Bridgewater at all. Like, they would legit, defensive linemen were just going straight through the middle and attacking Bridgewater all night. And this offensive line could not get it together to protect this man. They could not protect this man. He was getting pressured all night. O-line needs to step it up. Run game was could have been better, obviously. It's not going to be great with the way this offensive line is playing, but it could have been better. And Bridgewater himself, he threw a touchdown pass to Curtis Samuel, who, by the way, Curtis Samuel had a flawless night, in my opinion. He had a great night for the Panthers. The only 2 touchdowns they had were because of him. His touchdown run and his touchdown pass. So he was great tonight. But everyone else, nah. Bridgewater, he threw a touchdown and threw some nice passes. But when he went down and came back in the game, he was just bad. He was bad. In fact, he was bad for pretty much the entire second half. And throwing that interception to end the game, that pretty much cost him. One last thing to bring up, my man P.J. Walker, who came from the XFL. He was the XFL's best quarterback. And he's the backup quarterback for the Panthers. He came in, he tried to do something. Didn't really do anything. So I'm not going to rag him on that, though, because, again, it's not like he's the starter. It's not like he's had enough time to practice with the main guys out there. If you gave him an opportunity, gave him time to practice with these guys, he can gain some level of chemistry, but I'm not going to be too hard on him. He was just holding it down until Bridgewater came back. And Bridgewater came back and did not perform well. So I don't know what you do with that. Anyway, the Panthers, they lose this game. I believe they dropped to 3-5 now. Meanwhile, you got the Falcons that improved to 2-6. Not going to really do anything for their season, but hey, it's a good field victory. You know, at least you beat a divisional rival. So that's good to know. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. It was an interesting game for the most part, but overall, it was just a filthy game. That's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.